This is going to be a tour of the bunkhouse that I built about 2 years ago. And I built this pretty much all on my own. The only thing I had help with was standing the walls. And if you want to see a video on how another guy builds a house all on his own, check out the Crazy Framer. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. He builds entire houses all by himself, and it's pretty cool. So when I designed this, I had an old farmhouse idea in mind. So we've got the dormer up there, which gives you the height, and then the veranda kind of brings it down and doesn't make it look as tall. So from this angle you can see the second story windows on the sides. Kind of looks like an old small town house or an old farmhouse. The only thing I would have done differently, if it would have been up to me, is I would have done white siding with probably a green roof. Would have really given it an authentic look, but this siding was free, so I had to use it. So we'll kind of start at the door here. This is a door that I made. Like my Curiosity Inc. subscribers will know that I make antique style doors. So I made this in about a day, I think, and I'm not really happy with it at all. It's pretty embarrassing. I didn't have the right clamps. The trailer was headed to the lake and I needed to get this door done. I would never do anything like this for a client, but I think I'm gonna replace this door if I have time to build one. And right now on the windows, I just have the storm windows on. I built these last fall, and I still have to paint them yet, but I'll do that sometime here. And this is a stained glass window too, so it gives it an older look. And walking around, it's all vinyl siding, but no aluminum soffit or fascia. I went with plywood and just a 1x6 fascia, a lot more authentic, and you can just get cleaner corners. I mitered them all, so I don't know. I think it looks a lot cleaner, in my personal opinion, than what you could achieve with aluminum. Whenever you have materials that are already 80% processed, you can't get as good of a look with materials that aren't as processed. And eventually on this back wall, which will probably be my next video after this one, the staircase runs up along here. And at the time, I just didn't really have time to make another window. I already had a lot of them on the go, and I really wish I just would have made one, but I'm gonna make one now, a window for the stairwell, just because it's so dark in there. And I think I'm gonna do a mixture of frosted and stained glass. So I'll show you how I make that one and properly install it in an existing wall. And since I only had the siding itself, I thought rather than trying to go to Mitten and find these exact corners, I just used white corners because that adds a nice bit of definition with the fascia and soffit and window trim having white corners. So I thought that worked out in my favor anyway. And a detail around the dormer. For step flashings, these are just pop cans that I cut up. You can probably see there. And use those for step flashings. I just figured that was probably the easiest approach. I didn't want to go buy any or buy a coil of aluminum to cut up and make them. It's kind of a redneck approach, but it does the job. And for this flashing here, I only had like a 27-inch metal brake at the time, so I had to break these in like 2-foot chunks, but I could do that better now because I have a proper 10'6" metal braid. And to really give the dormer a proper look, this eave right here, it's just a false eave. It's just on there, not really serving any other purpose than decoration. Gives the 12-12 pitch, so the window is in there nicely. And just in case anyone's curious, this is a 12-12 pitch, that's a 4-12, and the veranda is a 7-12. So starting with the veranda here, this is all just 5/4 treated deck boards that I built this out of. And the railing, again, I just ripped down treated 2x4s, and I put all the unfinished edges facing the least noticeable direction. And some people might comment, well, I did this backwards, but I personally like the trim on the outside where it's more noticeable and have the uglier side inside. I don't know, that's just the way I like it. So moving inside, here's the stained glass window. Now this isn't real stained glass, it's just a stained glass paint on regular glass. And this window took a long time to make. It's got a lot of intricate little pieces. That took me quite a while to build that. And I just had a bit of an issue with the paint cracking. None of my other windows have cracked like that, so I'm not sure. I might have to replace that with actual stained glass at some point. And another thing to add is this type of stained glass is known as Queen Anne style stained glass. That's where you've got the muntins separating the panes. Another type of stained glass that most people are probably familiar with is where you solder the panes of glass together. And in one of Alex's videos, I think it was episode 11, he had a subtitle on there that I don't do leaded stained glass, which isn't true. I don't know where the misunderstanding came from, but I have done leaded stained glass in the past, and I'm probably okay at it, but I just prefer this style. I think it goes better with the old farmhouse look. And then here I've just got my old keyboard piano that I brought up to the lake because I don't use it at home anymore. And then back here in the corner, it was originally framed to put a full-size fridge in there, but I decided to just go with a smaller fridge under the stairs instead. So just found an old chair at a garage sale. That chair is actually from the Saskatchewan Besborough Hotel. So that's kind of a cool piece. It goes with the color theme anyways. And while I'm thinking of it, these are the blueprints that I drew up before I even built the thing. So I think it turned out pretty close to what these pictures show. I made a few small changes along the line somewhere. I was just kind of bored, so I drew up full scale. That wall looks nothing like that. I don't know what I was thinking. And that's how that wall is framed, exactly like that, and then just stick framed once the rafters were up. That's not, that front wall is just a full balloon framed wall. It goes straight from the bottom plate straight to the top plate. I don't know why I wanted to do that in two separate walls. And I was originally going to do a banister upstairs, but I decided to go with a wall. That's actually part of the reason why I didn't want to put a staircase in the window, was because then from the back street there, you'd be able to see right up into the bedroom, which I didn't want, but I opted to go for a wall as opposed to a banister. And then just some soffit details and other things like that. I think that's it. And I still have to rationalize the wiring in here. I didn't insulate this building or put any wiring in the walls because I didn't know where I wanted anything. So what I'll do is just take extension cords and just staple them up and run them neatly along the walls, which isn't the best approach, but whatever. So this is the staircase. This took a little bit of math to figure out, but it's stained up all right. It's all just spruce 1x4. I don't really use any fancy woods other than just normal construction lumber. And for the newel post, I don't have a lathe or anything to turn wood on, so that's what I came up with. So my plan for the stair window is to go somewhere right here with the center of the window being centered with the newel post. And like right now it's just kind of dark in here, and especially in the evenings and early mornings it's a lot darker, so it'll be nice just to have a frosted window that will let some light in. I think I'll do like pink and green stained glass portions to match that one too. And another thing, this hand railing here, I just bought a set of Stair hand railing rotor bits, and it's just two 2x4s screwed together, and I don't know, it feels nice and ergonomic, so, and I kind of had to do a goofy transition there where it terminates, but and then the last spindle just kind of goes into there, but like some of the paint I still have to do touch-ups, just stuff that I never got around to last year. And this isn't drywall, this is just hardboard paneling. And the reason I went with that is because one, it's way cheaper than drywall. This stuff was like $9.99 a sheet. And with drywall, even before this wall was here, there was no way that it was going to be resilient enough to get it and bend it a full, even just an 8-foot sheet, never mind a 10-foot sheet. But there's no way you could have got it up here without snapping it. It just wouldn't have worked. And I didn't want to do all the mudding and taping and all the extra stuff that comes along with that. So for the corners, I just ripped 3/4 inch pieces, and it doesn't look the greatest, but I'm less of an interior expert than I think I do nicer work outside than inside, but yeah, so these are the windows up here. Again, they got the storm windows on. I'll have to take those off and paint them eventually. But these ones here are operable. They slide up and down. Not the smoothest, but it is what it is. And then in the storm windows here, I just got these little flaps. I got them open right now, just letting air through. So up here I went carpet, downstairs I went laminate. The laminate was free. I was gonna, I originally wanted to do just more 1x4 as kind of a hardwood flooring look and stain it the same color, but that would have been a lot of extra work, and that laminate's not really the color I want, but we'll have to do. So yeah, I wanted a more homey feel, so I went with carpet. And again, this was kind of another goofy transition that I had to deal with. Might have to figure something out. I'll have to paint all this again, obviously, but this is just a piece I ripped out of a 2x4, and it just kind of captures the carpet there, and I don't know, it should be okay. And then this door, this is just some old hardware. I think it's like old kitchen hardware. And I just took a wire brush on an angle grinder and blasted all the paint off. Right now I just kind of got garbage in there, but I'll have to clean that out and use that for storage or something. And this is an old heater. I use that in the, fall and winter if it gets too cold in here because the walls don't have any insulation in them. And for these windows, I might be able to put a picture in. I used an old technique of preventing the windows from drafting by putting newspaper in there. Not the most practical idea, but I wanted to try out an old technique. And back here, I decided to put in a little shelf, just a cutout in the wall, just to put your bags or whatever on. And this here, I believe this also came from the Bessborough Hotel in Saskatoon. And it fits just perfectly right in there. Crazy how that worked out. Now this medicine cabinet was actually a last minute decision. The day I was framing this wall, I actually found this in the garbage somewhere ready to go out. And again, it kind of matches the theme. So that's kind of nice to have a mirror there and a little place to store stuff. So I just went and framed a spot in the wall before I put the panel on, and now I have a medicine cabinet in there. Now a lot of people are probably going to be asking about the artwork in here. So this painting, I'm actually not sure who the artist is, but I'm pretty sure it's someone local to Aquadeo here because I bought it at a garage sale here. And the rest of these abstract paintings were actually painted by a friend of mine. She's a pretty good abstract artist, but unfortunately I'll have to move a couple of them, maybe hang them up here or something for when I put that window in. And this one down here, she also painted me. I also had some more of her paintings under the thing there that I'll have to find a spot for. And just something to see in here. If there's any expert carpenters watching, they'll know what balloon framing is. But balloon framing is basically, there's balloon framing and platform framing. Platform framing, you build the first floor first, and then you set your floor joists on top of those walls, and then once the second floor is sheeted, then you build the second floor walls and stand them and so on. But balloon framing, you build your walls all one length. The studs run right to the ceiling, right up to where the rafters sit on them. And in order to support the first or the second story floor, you just notch a 1x4 ledger, if you will, and set the joists on there. They protrude into the stud cavity a bit. It's not the best for insulating purposes, but this building isn't insulated, so I wasn't concerned about that. And I wanted to build this with as many traditional methods as possible, so that's why I gave balloon framing a try. Now these walls aren't technically balloon framed. The 10-foot mark on the wall comes to right about here, and then it's just stick framed in the gable. I could have balloon framed them, but I didn't want to do all the math. I wanted it to just line up properly, so that's why I did it that way. And then for the staircase, I've never built a staircase in my life before, so this was kind of a trial run. There's a lot of math involved because it's got 2 landings. It takes the corner 3 times to get up to the top. So, and to trim it out, I just made some quarter round on the router, and then rather than just having an abrupt termination, I just rounded it over again. Kind of gives it a softer, more pleasant termination there. Same down here. Now I just remembered that in the comments of one of my other videos, some people were interested in seeing this staircase, so I guess I'll do a bit of a closer look at, kind of explain more what I did here. So this is under the stairs. The stringers are a 2x12, just notched out, and the newel post is just a 4x4. When I built this floor, I made sure to put blocking under there and under here for this post that actually supports the corner of the second floor. So there is blocking under that. I marked it out where it was gonna go. And then the first landing is just kind of nailed on there. And the first step, I just kind of built a box for it. There's not actually stringers, it's just a box built. And then once it hits the first landing, that's when the stringers start. And they go up. And those are just the stair treads. They're all stained on top, but you can see underneath that they're just regular spruce lumber, nothing fancy. And this first stringer, I set it out from the drywall 1.5 inches, just so it's easy to slide the panel behind. And same with the baseboard, you're not notching it, you just slide the whole thing behind. There's no way I could notch all that. So then the newel post is just that 4x4 that I cased in 1x6, and then I just made some cove molding on the router just to give it a bit of a fancier look. And this has got probably 4 or 5 coats of polyurethane on it, so it's nice and shiny. And then this here, again, probably not the nicest thing I could have done, but just ran a 1x8 up along there and mitered all these risers before I put them on, and then just cut little triangles to go in, because again, there's no way that I was gonna get all these matched in one 1x12 or something with the miters. I just didn't want to waste material. And yeah, the banister, just ripped a 2x4 in half to make 2x2s, and made I gotta dust this off a little bit, made the spindles out of that. Not the prettiest, but it works. And again, up here, another real goofy transition, something that I didn't think of until it was here, so that's what I came up with. And I guess I could show how I did the baseboard along the stairs. So this kind of confused me when I first did it. I didn't really know how I was gonna figure this out, but I set the one up here and the one down there and just made a mark where the top of it was. And then I shoved this angled one in behind, and wherever it intersected, I made a mark on it and just cut the angle square. I wasn't gonna try and miter that would just look like garbage. So I just made the angle square, and I found out how to do that by where it was gonna intersect with that one. So all the ones, they intersect at the same spot, and they look fairly clean. I guess I could go over the window casings as well. So for the bottom piece of trim, I usually like to 45 it. I see a lot of them that are just left square, but that's really just a personal opinion on what you think is best. I like them 45'd. And for the sill, I just have a window sill router bit which puts a profile like that on it. And then I just notch out where it's got to go. And the rest of the casing is pretty straightforward. All just normal spruce 1x material. And now that it's nighttime, here's another reason why I really don't like this door. That's really embarrassing. I think I'm gonna have to replace that this year. Here's just a look from the outside in the night. The light shining through the stained glass. Solar lights on the tree are lit up. Now the way I do my threshold on the door is a little different than other people would, but I have my own idiosyncratic ways for most things, so that's why I do it a bit different. But the reason I do it like that is because it just adds another trim level to the door, so it stops wind from getting in. And I don't know, some people might argue that this is a tripping hazard, but if you just open your eyes and watch where you're going, that's not going to be an issue. So, and then for here, because the bottom of this threshold had to meet, see the joists for the floor inside and the floor on the deck are the same. And then when those 1-inch thick deck boards go on, the bottom of this threshold has to sit on top of them, and it angles up at 5 degrees. So that's why there's so much room here. And yes, I did cut the 1x4 threshold out of the door so it can sit flat, but there just had to be a lot here. So that's just something I came up with to kind of clean that up a little. So that was my bunkhouse tour. If I would have been thinking of it, I would have filmed me building this and put that on YouTube as a series. But at the time, I just wasn't thinking about it. So I'll probably have to look for another building around here to build and do that as a series. So if anyone from Aquadeo is watching this, and you want a bunkhouse or shower house or any sort of outbuilding, just get in touch with me or stop by, because I'd love to have another building to be able to do a series on. If anyone has any questions or queries or suggestions even, just leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them as best I can. And thanks for watching.